My name is Troels, we're EDO, and it's been requested that we put a face to all these videos moving forward. Some of the millennials in our company and our teenage girls have all requested that we start putting a face to it. So let's do it this way. Let's make the videos free, let's make them conversational, let's talk about all the subject matters that we deal with as composers and producers and performers or whatever it is that you do. Today, I just want to go back in time and I want to talk about samples, how it all started a little bit, and how that ties into EDO as well. If we go back in time, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years back in time, the Fairlight, for example, like that choir patch that Art of Noise used, like da 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 da, that one, beautiful patch, right? The DX7, like that crystal, like super gorgeous piano kind of sound, like it really set a vibe for like the 80s. Like the D50, for example, the soundtrack patch. I remember the first time I played on the Korg M1, the 001 Universe patch. It was just a piece of art. And I think sometimes with instrument development, when we really hit it right, and it's not always, and there's no library that does everything perfectly, and there's no one developer that does everything perfectly either. But when we hit it right, sometimes we find that sample gold. I just mentioned a couple of them. There's way more than that as well. Like think about like the pan flute, I think that was Fairlight, or was it Mirage, I can't remember, the one used in Enigma and a million other places, or the orchestral hit in Peter Gabriel's So album, all that stuff. Like these things really impacted music. The 808 that was frowned upon when it came out and now it's dominating hip hop for the last God knows how many years. All these things are super cool. So a throwback to the past, and even in the sample world, there are patches that sticks with me, like Eric Persing's beautiful Symphony of Voices. That particular Agnus Dei patch, like that is sample gold as well. Really changed the landscape and demonstrated why it's so important with choirs, for example, to have them sing in a natural fashion. But there's something that just happened back in the past that was just beautiful, and sometimes we hit it right with EDO as well. A couple of days ago, one of the greatest mock-up artists in the world, in my opinion, his name is Antongiulio Frulio from Italy, sent me a 12-minute movie where he was scoring with our Anthology Strings, also known as Adagio and Agitato. And it was super cool to see because he's using these old libraries that he still stands by. And even though we have our newer Century Strings and all that stuff, there's some pure sample gold in some of those old libraries. There are certain things in the legatos we really got right. There's a certain expression, the players, the mood. It's kind of like when you're out eating sometimes, like you can have a good dinner, and the same thing with wine for that matter, you can have a good wine, but sometimes you hit it right and you can't quite explain why. Is it the wine? Is it the mood? Is it your girlfriend, your wife, your boyfriend, whatever it is? You really don't know. And the same thing with samples. And you can't replicate it. They're just those golden moments. So for example, in our anthology series, some of the legatos, particularly the one derived from Agitato in my opinion, really have a unique shine to them. They're alive, they're breathing, they're oozing, they have that Williams shine, that beautiful vibrato going into the legato as well, just really patches that are alive. So I thought it could be a fun one to start with in our vlog. We have a sale on those instruments this week as well, just to get the promotional aspect about it. But really listen to them and go back and appreciate the sample gold. It's not just about EDO, it's not about any developer in particular. And if I can just say something when it comes to orchestral samples as well, because there's a lot of them these days and they're all beautiful and you don't have to sign up with one developer. And in fact, I encourage you not to sign up with one developer. It saddens me to say that goes for EDO as well. But the reality is, like, think about it as a studio. When you're a band, you go into the studio, somebody brings a guitar of one brand, another person brings a bass, somebody brings a keyboard of a different manufacturer, right? You do it because to the individual person that purchased those instruments, that's the best sound, that's the instrument that connected with them, and it's exactly the same with samples. There's no difference. So when you build up your templates, go out, listen to what sounds right, find that sample gold, dig whatever it is that appeals to you, and keep in mind that if you only go with one orchestral product from any developer, you build up the noise floor over time. You're repeating the same samples in the same hall with the same players, with the same microphones, and it really creates noise, and that's why it's complicated sometimes to only work with one line of products. It's a really good idea to mix them up. If you look at my template in the past, I actually only use EDO products right now because I like to work more constrained, but if you look at my template in the past, it virtually had all strings I could get my hands on. Just an example of why it's so important. And just listen with your ear, don't overthink things. I think sometimes, and this is also something we can learn from the old sample gold, it's so important when the samples just work right on the keys, no super CC fiddling or whatever it is, like they just work right out of the keys. So anyway, this is my first little vlog. I hope it made a little bit of sense and really just a throwback back to the old sample gold, and I encourage you to listen to some of the demos and watch the video that's about to begin now. It's about 12 minutes long and exclusively features our Anthology Strings. Thanks so much. See you next week.
Per chiamate da telefoni cellulari. Per parlare con un operatore rivolgersi al numero 225 solo da riservista.
Pronto?
Dottor Ridolfi?
Chi è?
Non importa chi sono.
Scusi?
Chiamo per la verifica.
Eh?
Stanno venendo da lei per la verifica.
Da me?
Sì, hanno cominciato stanotte. Stanno battendo tutta la zona a ponente.
A Ponente?
Non si preoccupi, è solo un controllo a campione. Ne avranno fatti a migliaia.
Ma che controllo?
Una semplice verifica. Ma se è tutto in regola, non ha niente da temere. Distinguono sempre gli errori involontari da quelli intenzionali. E quelli più insignificanti sono condonati. Ha capito di cosa parlo, no?
Cosa?
L'agente incaricato le darà tutte le disposizioni da seguire. Si mostri sempre ossequioso. Coi soggetti insubordinati diventano pericolosi. Ha capito?
Ha capito chi è? Ma che vuole? Ma chi è lei?
Vedrà che non le succederà nulla.
Chi è?
Sono Anna.
Anna?
Sì, Claudio, Anna.
Anna, ma che vuoi?
Ti hanno chiamato.
Chi?
Sono già passati.
Chi?
Gli agenti della verifica. Con la scusa della praticabilità entrano nelle case e devastano tutto. Hanno portato via Paolo. Se non hai questa maledetta praticabilità, la gente può contestarti qualsiasi cosa. Ma tu non gli aprire. Non farlo entrare perché non ha diritto di entrare. Hai capito? Hai capito, Claudio? Nessuno ha diritto di...
Dottor Ridolfi, sappiamo che lì apra. Sappiamo tutto di lei. Non ha nulla da temere, è solo una formalità. La prego, non faccia resistenza. Siamo qui per il controllo logistico.
Controllo di che?
La verifica. La verifica notturna. Ci risulta che l'abbiamo già avvertita 2 volte. Ridolfi, noi dobbiamo verificare. Apra, coraggio.
Mi hanno detto di non aprire.
Dobbiamo verificare la praticabilità. Dobbiamo controllare la sua capacità di adesione al piano di ripristino.
Dobbiamo? Dobbiamo chi? Ma chi siete? Cosa volete?
C'è la mia squadra al completo qua fuori. Sono bravi ragazzi. Stanno facendo molta pratica in queste ore.
Senta, a me non me ne frega niente della verifica. E nemmeno di questa vostra praticabilità. Vada via, altrimenti chiamo la polizia.
Ma quale polizia? Noi siamo stati incaricati proprio dalla polizia. Ed ora qui le stiamo facendo un servizio. Quindi non mi faccia come gli storani qui davanti, altrimenti saremo costretti a procedere con la forza.
Cosa gli avete fatto agli storani?
I suoi vicini stanno bene, ma sono stati poco ragionevoli e quindi adesso è in atto una verifica supplementare direttamente in sede. Sarebbe così semplice se solo aprisse questa maledetta porta.
Io non apro proprio a nessuno. Sono sempre stato a regola su tutto.
La sto pregando, Ridolfi. Apra! Se poi ci fa perdere la pazienza, finirà per pentirsene.
Pentirsene no, vaffanculo!
Faccia come crede. La scelta è sua. Peggio per lei.